And we are live. Welcome to the 28th of Stop to Finish, a series where we look at why, as creatives, sometimes we are not able to complete what we've started. The aim is simple: help you finish what you started, think of creative ways you can be more productive, and the best ways to get results. On today's episode, we're looking at journaling. So, in the past, we've looked at the attitude to work, we've looked at the fact that you need to take ownership of your personal growth. And taking ownership of your personal growth is not just snapping your fingers and then you grow. Growing is something that your personal growth is something you feed consistently and you review regularly. So, one way to do it is through journaling. My name is DK Jonah, and I host this series, most of this series, where we look at how we can improve ourselves as creatives, how creativity and productivity can work together because many people say they don't. But I see every individual as someone that has a creative gift, a gift that they can use to show the world their own creative style. And it's about productivity and personal growth. So, journaling. Everyone talks about journaling. Everyone and their mother tells you to journal. Sometimes we buy pretty books thinking, oh, now that I have a pretty book, what can I do with it? Sometimes we have lots of journals. How many journals do you have at home? Just let me know. And you just don't use it. You start writing, you get bored. But perhaps it's because you do not understand what journaling is, how it can be used, and the different types of journaling formats that suit different creative minds. So, what is journaling? The first thing we should understand that it's writing, it's scribing, it's just writing your thoughts on paper or on an app. But it's the practice of regularly recording your thoughts. So, we're using the word recording, not just writing, because you can do a verbal journal, your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, and ideas. But we're looking at it being done in a written format for this series. And it involves my favorite activity in the world, putting pen to paper on a platform, you're typing, but you're documenting your inner world. So it's quite introspective. So as an extrovert, it's something you may struggle with. But journaling is quite an introspective activity because it allows you to express yourself, to sit silently with yourself and reflect on your life. You're just exploring your thoughts and emotions. So that's what journaling is. There are so many people in history that have talked about journaling and how it has impacted them. And one thing they say in common, or they have in common, is this: it's something you do regularly. It's not something you do once and then forget. But it's about understanding that once your thoughts are out of your head, you can see clearly. It gives you clarity. Well, let's see. What are the types of journals we have? Gratitude journals, reflection journals, goal journals, bullet journals, career journals, prayer journals, fitness or health journals. There are so many types of journals you can have, so it's not just one. Some people do prompted journaling where there's a prompt and then you journal. But a gratitude journal is just you putting saying what you're grateful for. So it could be in one or two words, or it could be more detailed. But let's see. The purpose of journaling is simple: for self expression, goal setting, and personal growth. But we want to talk about bullet journaling. Now, bullet journaling is fantastic because it takes planning and journaling into one document, in my opinion. It's flexible, it's customizable. So, for those people that are creative and they buy journals and they just can't make it work, why don't you try bullet journaling? Because you're organizing your tasks and events and notes all in one place. So I see it as a planner, a to-do list, a diary, because it allows you to create your own structure. And when you're creating your structure, you use things that you can reflect on. So you could have a place for your task. Then after the task, you could say, this is what I did for this specific task. And I believe bullet journaling is just a fantastic way to get things done. Now, this is one I want everybody to keep. Some people say keep a brag book. I say yes, keep a brag book. A brag book is your journal of this thing, but you can make it your career and personal development book. So basically, milestones you hit, you are writing your dedicated personal growth and development journey. So it's your reflections, your work, your achievements. Now, when I talked about bragging, your brag book is you achieved something. Nobody, it may be something minor to others, but it's something that you want to put, especially in the creative industry. You hit a milestone, you want to record it somewhere that you can retrieve and reflect on it later. You're experiencing challenges, you want to be able to put them there to say, this was a challenge I experienced, and this is how I got through it. Your goals are about improving yourself, you track your progress and all these things. and you're planning for your future growth because your career is important to you, your professional growth is important to you. And we talk about taking ownership of your growth. So, although yes, you know promotions are going to come in your office, for instance, but you are paving your own path. You are saying, "This is what I have done." So, when you go for a review meeting, you can articulate what you've done. When you go for interviews and they say, "Oh, do you have this experience?" you can articulate it properly because you've written things down. So a career or professional journal, no matter your age, if you're 20, if you're 60, start keeping one. Start keeping one. What are the achievements? What was the first time somebody left a comment on your podcast? What was the first time someone in your family that is not on your podcast listened to it? What was your experience? So those are little things that you can record. I call it your brag book, but let's be professional and call it your career and professional development. Self-reflection. Now, this is the most common journal where people sit down and do their diaries. There's one Aguero that does their diary on TikTok. I absolutely love the guy. But it's about you just writing your reflection. You reflect on your thoughts, your emotions, and your experiences. I think diary keeping and journaling have kind of been made to seem irrelevant. So people say, "Oh, you keep a diary. Why would you? Why won't you?" Because it gives you an opportunity to delve deeper into your thoughts, into your inner world. It's very invasive when someone reads your diary, but it helps you gain clarity and explore different perspectives that you've had. By writing things down, what especially when it comes to your thoughts, your feelings, the truth is you get to understand yourself better. You understand your values, you understand your motivation. And one thing we talked about earlier is taking ownership of your personal growth and doing self-reflection exercises. One way to do self-reflection exercises is to ensure that you're doing it during your journaling. So you have your end of the week reflection and end of the day reflection, so you can see different things that are working. What worked for you during the week? What are the things that you do weekends that make you better? Self-reflection helps you achieve that. Now, this is something many people don't think. So, this one purpose of journaling is that it gives you this emotional release that you need, that sometimes you don't think you need. And it's fantastic because it's therapeutic. It's a way for you to kind of pour out your heart. And for me, it's something that I did when I was going through pain was to journal a lot. Sometimes I write my thoughts, and sometimes you can't speak to certain people about it. So, this is my recommendation. If you're going through a stressful period, if you're trying to look for a way to release it, and you know that what you're about to express is something that is difficult if somebody else reads it. My own is this: I write a letter to myself and I lose it. So, you know that song, I wrote a letter to myself. So, this is what I mean. Write your thoughts that in a way that no one else will read it, and then get rid of it, burn it, put it out. But it's no longer in your heart, it's no longer on your mind. You've set yourself free. There's this emotional release you get when you're able to put your thoughts somewhere and let it go. And that to me is an exercise that I do, and I think most people should do also. One thing about journaling is it helps you discover yourself, honestly. If you go through your journals, I was going through my journal for 2012 or 13, and I called Emma and I'm like, Emma, imagine, so this is what I was saying back then. It helps you reflect, it helps you discover yourself. I was like, I can see where it started changing, when my tone started changing about pain, about certain things I was going through, because it made me discover myself. So through journaling, you can discover more about yourself, your strengths, areas for growth, especially if you're transparent, vulnerable, and honest when you're journaling, because you're able to explore different things. It uncovers your patterns and habits that you may not even have realized are patterns and habits. Beliefs that may be influencing your life. You can see that, "Oh, this is the reason I did what I did," especially if you use journaling prompts. Journaling prompts are amazing exercises because it's like, how was your day? What did you do? There's a journal that I forgot to even put on my list. It's born after reading. It's a journal where they give you prompts and you're supposed to burn it after reading. But it just helps you uncover hidden talents, cultivate a deeper understanding of your true self. Now, what we're doing on Saturday is about goal setting and accountability, right? But journaling can be a valuable tool for setting and tracking personal goals. So you have your goals. What we said is the reason people do not accomplish their goals is simply because they are not tracking it. Journaling is a good way for you to track how you felt about the goal and how you feel right now. It gives you an opportunity to express yourself, especially when you're being honest with yourself. If there's one thing you're not going to do, you're not going to lie in your journal. You're going to say the truth. and it helps you to gain clarity about your intentions and you hold yourself accountable. So regular journaling, in my opinion, it makes you understand, oh, what happened? Where was this setback? This was all happened when I had this setback. And you can reflect and provide more information that you need to carry out any task, the motivation you need to focus. And it gives you kind of this sense of achievement, especially when done properly. Well, I think Rachel is an amazing example of someone that uses gratitude. She talks about gratitude like no man's business. And she talked about the power of positivity, power of gratitude, power of expressing gratitude, being thankful for the things that you have. So a gratitude journal makes you see what you have and what you don't. There are sometimes you complain that you don't have any single thing. Try keeping a gratitude journal, even if it's listing three things that you are grateful for. Now let's try it now. What is something that you are grateful for? What are the things that have happened recently that you want to express that you are grateful for? You need to find a way to express it and not put it in there. And one way is a gratitude journal. A gratitude journal forces you to look within and look around you to acknowledge and appreciate the positive aspects of life. Yes, everything may not be going right, but not everything is going wrong. So by writing down moments of gratitude, you are able to cultivate a positive mindset. It helps you shift your perspective and achieve that overall well-being that you definitely need and desire. When it comes to creativity and productivity, one thing we've established is that they can work together, but they clash. So what do we do when it comes to expressing our creative skills? One way we can do it is journaling. The world may not accept the way you think creatively, but your journal will. So you can express your creative thoughts before you bring it out to the world. So you can explore your artistic side and experiment with quite a few things side by, and you'll be able to actually engage in activities that you know that no one is going to judge you for. So you can sketch, you can doodle, you can do any other thing you want to do. It's your space. No one is marking it right or wrong. I think the academic world has forced us to think, oh, this is wrong, so I shouldn't express it. But there are some thoughts that need to be expressed, and self expression beyond words is what journaling does for you. Makes you think deep, express yourself, free your imagination, think like a child, and unleash that creativity. So when I say think like a child, what I'm saying is these children are amazing, they're fantastic. When they're doing certain things, they don't care about what any other person thinks. They're just doing it. That's how it should be when we're journaling. We shouldn't look at the restrictions or anything. Just be free and express it. So, why do we journal? So, we can read what other things on the screen, but I'll talk a little bit. I like doing a little bit of storytelling. For me, it's about knowing that my thoughts are somewhere. So it gives me clarity and focus. I have a very busy mind. So one thing I do daily when I want to work most of the time is I do a brain dump. That's just write your thoughts on paper and allow it be expressed. So journaling helps me find clarity and focus. So when I can't focus, I know that I have to do a brain dump. I learned this from Emily Lee. I learned this from quite a few other people. And and Julia Cameron. We're going to talk about Julia Cameron in a bit, but it gives you clarity to focus on what matters because your mind is busy, so you need to let it out. Journaling does something else. It enhances your self awareness. My goodness. There's sometimes that you don't know yourself, but when you see yourself expressing certain thoughts regularly, you gain insight, especially when you're doing self reflections. You understand your emotions better and you're able to understand that this is how I behave, this is who I am. You can see your patterns and explore them. Don't get me started on stress reduction. Journaling helps you to reduce stress. It's about understanding that, okay, whatever I'm expressing at this point in time, whatever I'm experiencing, there's a place that I can write it. Sometimes we are creatively blocked because we have so many things in our minds. And it starts with journaling. It's a form of stress relief because the emotions you are experiencing, the tension that you are building up needs to be let out, and you can do this through journaling. And when you are setting goals and you are accountable and you're looking at your achievements through journaling, you can know where I made a mistake, where I broke my commitment, where I stopped being accountable because you can see. And we've already talked about creative exploration. But what are the journaling techniques? We'll talk more about them, but let's see a couple. Right. Free writing. This is one of the most common journaling techniques where you just sit down and write. So you set a timer and write continuously without worrying about the grammar or structure. I call it doing a brain dump, but it's a free writing journaling technique. It helps you to unleash creativity and get your thoughts flowing. So you're just like, thoughts flow, let me unleash creativity and let me just write. You're not even thinking about anything, you're just writing. And then I will link this to the last point, which is about morning pages. And Julia Cameron, if you're going to read any book to improve your creativity, this should be the number one book on your list. Okay, I gave you one book yesterday, so this should be number two. And that book is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She's James Cameron's sister. James Cameron that did Titanic and the Avatar. His sister is a fantastic creative, and she wrote a book that I believe every single person needs to read because it connects you with your creativity. I won't go into more details about the book, but this is what I will say. She has a practice called morning pages, what you do every day when you wake up, and you just write 3 pages from your stream of consciousness. This helps clear your mind and help you start your day on the bright end. So it's called morning pages. Every morning you wake up and you just write. So that's why I linked it to free writing, because when you're doing these pages, you're not thinking about grammar, you're not thinking about structure, you're not thinking about storytelling, you're not thinking about anything. You're not just thinking, you are just writing. 3 pages with free thoughts. I think this is fantastic. We've talked about the gratitude journal. If you're not sure, if you want to start journaling, what am I grateful for today? A fantastic one. A reflective journal. You could look, this could be prompted or unprompted, where you reflect on your experiences, lessons learned, and blah blah blah. But it's about personal growth, and it encourages self-reflection and self-improvement. So if you want to improve, this is a good type of journaling exercise that you can do. And we'll just go through this quickly. So it says journaling for productivity. This is my recommendation, and I think everybody should do. Use your journaling for daily planning. When you write your thoughts out on paper, then you can plan because you can see the activities that you've done. You can do all these things that you want to do. For problem solving, when you're going through a difficult thing, you're going through a task and everybody is trying to brainstorm. Sometimes just write your thoughts about this task and say why. Okay, why? What do we need? Why do we need it? And sometimes people say start with the end in mind, but you're asking yourself questions. And but most importantly, you can also use it for tracking progress. So when it comes to productivity, I would say it's for daily planning, it's for problem solving, and it's about tracking your progress and tracking it consistently. But when it comes to personal growth, this is what journaling is for. Emotional processing, you're putting out your emotions there, you're not bottling things on feelings, fears, and aspirations that you can't express with the world. Figure out a way to put it on paper or put it digitally. It sets you free. There are some people that are unable to sleep because of the things on their mind, myself included sometimes. But it creates what I'm learning about, that is self understanding, being kinder to yourself. Yes, you can have this self reflection prompt that will say, oh, what did you do today? How does it affect you? What lessons did you learn? What changes are you making? Knowing what you know now, would you do things the same way? Those are just self reflective prompts. Gratitude practices, sometimes they will ask you questions like, what are you grateful for? Or you can just say, these are 5 things that I'm grateful for. But it gives you an opportunity to do certain things. When it comes to journaling, this is what I always say: you don't journal once and then abandon it. No, it's something you do consistently. It's meant to be an habit that you will do daily. So what I want you to do is set dedicated time for journaling and make it a regular habit. So let's just say 6 a.m. every day you journal, or 9 p.m. you journal. So I do morning pages in the morning and evening pages. So I call my mindful morning, and I'm still thinking of a name for my evening routine. But I've just called it evening peace because I want to have peace like a river, or consistency. I talked about the fact that when you journal, you have to be authentic. So it's about authenticity. Do not lie to yourself. There's no censorship, there's no judgment. It's just a good opportunity for you to express yourself. If you don't like the way a podcast episode you recorded was, express it there. If you loved it, express it. If you see other people that are doing less than you and you're in amazing studios just talking rubbish and that hurts your feelings, express it, but understand that it's about you being authentic to yourself, not just anyone. Authenticity to yourself is something that we need to have. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be honest about where we are, where we are going, and what we're going to do when we get there. We need to be honest and stop thinking that, oh, if we had all these things, things will be better. Sometimes when you're judging others and you think that you will do better, you need to just look in and self reflect. But most importantly, okay, no, this is not the most important one. Let's talk about this one, experimenting and adaptation. Experiment. If prompted journals work better for you, use it. If you want free writing, you use it. If you think it's gratitude you want to express, use it. The only way to be creative is to create. The only way to improve creativity is to keep creating. So if you keep creating, if you keep writing, if you keep doing, you improve. I don't know about you, but I learn by doing. I learn by doing and doing consistently. So by the time I do something a certain way, if it doesn't work, I will experiment, adapt, and change what I need to do. Experiment, adapt, improve myself, tell myself what I did right and what I did wrong, where I can change. But by adapting my practices based on my needs and my preferences, I am able to make it work for me. So, what works for me may not work for someone else. A morning page may not work for a mother, a young mother that is has about 5 kids running around, but it may work for someone that is single. Certain things can't work for everybody, but what is, hey, BC, what's most important is understanding that whatever platform you choose, whatever format you use, you do it for yourself, but be willing to experiment and adapt. Then let's talk about privacy or security, or they will say privacy. So, please, as much as we want you to express yourself, ensure that you are keeping whatever you're saying private. If there are things you don't want people to see, then you have to think of a way to secure it. There are apps that have passwords, so you can go the digital route. I go with the right tier bond, as in right and pieces it, put it in the way and dispose of it. That if you don't want to see when it's very sensitive issues that you want to express, or dispose of it in a place that is not our own. Find a way to keep it secure. See, your your journal is very vulnerable. It's a vulnerable expression of yourself. It's part of you. So you do not want people to just take advantage of that part of you. Because by reading your journal, somebody can get to know you thoroughly. So you want to protect yourself, protect your mind, protect your emotion, protect your creativity, protect your journal. Guide it with all your heart, your strength. Think of creative ways to keep your journal safe. That's just what I will say. And let me know if you journal or which of these journal prompts is making you smile. Okay, let's go. Now, when it comes to journaling, there are a couple of books that I would recommend that I said I've used, and there are a couple of things I would say when it comes to journaling. Journaling is not meant to be done perfectly. Embrace imperfection when you are journaling. Yes, we want you to be consistent. If you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes when we are creating and we miss one day, I almost missed a day today because I'm not feeling 100%. And I had to get my slides ready quickly. And I was like, okay, I've done 27 days. Let me just do this till day 30. And it's not been easy for me. But one thing I've done is I've done it imperfectly. The old me will want to have images in my slides, quite a lot of things. But I'm just like, no, it's simple, it's black, it's white, it's gold. Full stop. My brand colors, I'm fine with it. I have to simplify it to ensure that I am thriving. When it comes to journaling, creating, doing anything that has to do with you being productive, there is no hard and fast rule to it. You have to be present. You have to enjoy where you are. If you are in the time when you used to journal and you don't journal now, that's not a problem. It's something you can embrace gradually. You can start with daily mornings, you can start with weekly journals, you can start with whatever you want. One type of journaling I love is prayer journals. Now, my prayer journal, the one I used with Valerie and the one I created, because I have a prayer journal that I haven't sold yet. I have a lot of journals and books that I haven't sold that are lying there, and I've not gone to the creator. But this one is fantastic. So the way it works is sometimes when you want to pray, you need that reminder that there are certain things you need to pray about. So what I do is I have the countries I want to pray for, people I want to pray for in my life, loved ones, family, friends, um, projects, and different things already listed. So when I'm praying, I'm bringing out those things I'm praying. So I'll remember to pray for those things. That's a prayer journal for me. It may be different for other people. But why am I doing it as a prompted prayer rather than just going free? Because sometimes, yes, the intention is there. You think you remember certain things, but you don't. So sometimes writing it down. One of the greatest physicians, is he a physician? Please let me know. Isaac Newton is physics, right, Lily? All right, I'm not a art science student, but he said there is no need cramming what can be written. There is no need cramming. There are so many times we want to cram a lot, and we should rather be thinking on paper. We should be pouring our thoughts out. We should be expressing our thoughts. There's no need having that creative idea and pushing it aside and saying, I would remember. Think of a way that you want to keep your notes. Think of a way you want to build your second brain. Yesterday, we're talking about journaling, but we're talking about journaling for success, journaling for productivity. Remember, our definition of productivity is not just about getting more done. Our definition of productivity is about doing what's important, what matters to us. And it starts with you defining what matters to you. But it also continues with you being consistent and effective and journaling your thoughts, writing your thoughts, monitoring your progress. Because if you're not monitoring your progress, there will be no growth. So no matter which path you take, just be consistent. And consistency for you may mean that I'll do it every Wednesday. Wednesday is the day that I am free. I can take my time and journal. If that's what works for you, start with that. Start small and build up regularly. The issue we have most times is that we want to do every single thing at once when we shouldn't really. Rather, we should start small and start building. And what I mean by start small is start with once a week. You don't have to do it every day when you're starting. You can start with your weekly reflection. Because if you live in Lagos and you get up, sometimes journaling is the last thing on your mind. So you can make it your Saturday routine. Why I'm telling you to pick and choose what works for you is simply this. There's no one size fits all approach to life. But what I'm giving you are the tools and resources that you need, that you can pick and choose the ones you want to work with. Because you can't do every single thing, but you can do specific things. And one thing I said I was going to do when it comes to journaling is provide books and examples of digital banners or this thing. So the first book I'll recommend is a book I've already recommended. It's called The Artist Way. Morning Pages by it's about Morning Pages by Julia Cameron. That's the book I mentioned first of all. Now I love The Artist Way, and it's one of my favorite books. I love the format of the book, and I will only talk about the books I know. On this list I provided, I've read only two, so I'm going to talk about just those two books, and the other ones I'll just tell you why they are notable mentions. So The Artist Way, why I love the book is this: it's a 12-week book. So you're going to do it like a course for 12 weeks. So you don't have to just sit down and take everything in at once. But it's a book that makes you reflect and think back to your creative style. It makes you embrace who you are. Sometimes we're in such a rush throughout life that we've not had the opportunity to sit silently with ourselves. And this book is a book that will give you that ability to introspect. Yes, but Christians, we're Muslims, we have our ways of doing things. But introspection with a guided introspection path is the artist's way. And I always recommend this book. Since the day I found it, I recommend the book to anybody. 12 weeks, 12 different things you can do every week. And because of the way it is paced, it gives you an opportunity to reflect. There are sometimes that you read 52 books in a year, but you can't remember what you've read. You were just reading for reading's sake. Now we are not just reading books, we are studying. So with the artist way, it gives you an opportunity to actually study the book and get results. Trust me, as a creative, even if you don't think you are creative, pick up this book and you will see how creative you are. It's a good reflective piece that every single individual, I believe, needs to read. Then, if you want to try the bullet journal method, then bullet journal by Ryder Carroll is a fantastic thing to pick. Why? Bullet journaling combines journaling, task management as your planner, and note taking in one. So you have an opportunity to use different things and achieve them in one book. It gives you an opportunity to reflect, it gives you an opportunity to act, it gives you an opportunity to monitor your personal growth, which is quite important, and it's fantastic. Now, the journaling life, 21 types of journals you can create to express yourself and record pieces of your life. Because I found it fascinating that most letters and most of these books that we read, most of them were actually journal entries that these people wrote. Someone like Jonathan Edwards, his resolutions were journals. So journals are a way for us to express ourselves and record pieces of our lives. And I believe Emily A. Francis' book deserved a spot on this list because it just gets you to do just that, but it does it in a way that is giving you different types. So you get to figure out what works for you or what doesn't work for you. Remember what I said? It's about trying different things till you figure out the one that works for you. It's not a one size fits all. So you try, it doesn't work, you move aside and then you try again. Now, writing down the bones, this came highly recommended by Natalie Goldberg. I haven't read it, I haven't read much on it, but freeing the writer within is something that I want to do. I believe everyone has a gift. I believe everyone is able to express their gift. And I believe that some creative gifts have been killed by the academic system, society, culture, and different things. And if you want to free that writer within, if you feel that there's something holding you back when you're expressing yourself, then this is the book that you should read by Natalie Goldberg. What if we start a book club and we start reading a book together? We pick these books together and read them. I think that would be a fantastic idea. My favorite book, my favorite productivity book. I have given out almost 10 to 15 copies of this book. I recommend it to all my clients. If I'm coaching you on productivity, The Artist Way is one, but The Miracle Money is another book I will recommend. I absolutely love this book. We talked about it yesterday, but for those that were not here yesterday, I will repeat what we said. Having a morning routine is good, but sometimes we wake up and we don't know what to do. What can we do that will fuel our creativity and still help us grow personally? And that's having your morning routine fixed. The Miracle Morning does that for you. And I'm not being paid to talk about these books, but trust me, it just tells you 6 things that you should do daily and goes deeper into them. Journaling is one of them. That's why we're discussing journaling today. But it's about keeping silent when you wake up, the power of silence, the power of affirmations. Then it talks about visualization and it talks about exercise, which is something that I struggle with. And it talks about reading and then scribing and writing. Why I love the book is that do you know that the easiest and the simplest things are the most difficult to do? Sometimes we run away from certain things. We don't want to do certain things. But the easiest and the simplest things are the most difficult things to do because we expect things to be very tough. And when it comes so simple, we're like, I thought it would be tougher. Okay, I wanted some to be a bit more difficult. Simplicity rules, but simplicity is what kills more productive people because they don't want to do the simple. They don't want to be consistent. You just don't want to show up when you should show up. So that book, I recommend it on my list. The 5 minute journal, a happier you in 5 minutes a day. If you're looking for a quick fix to understand journaling, then pick up the 5 minute journal. That's for you. Now, for those of you that say, DK, I don't want to write. I want to put it in my phone. There are apps. The one I would recommend is Day One Journal. Please get Day One Journal. It's an app in the App Store. Absolutely fantastic. I haven't used or heard of the rest, but I just decided to look for some for you. Journey is a good one. It works as a diary and a journal. Penzo, fantastic. Add good reviews. Reflecting is journal and AI diary. Now I picked that because it's AI. I don't know what it does, but I'm curious. And I'm thinking of reviewing all these things on my listing. The 5 minute journal app, it should be based on the 5 minute journal and Grid there, which I haven't really heard more of. But the one is what so many productivity coaches recommend, and they've been around for the longest time. So I would recommend Day One also. And that brings us to the end of today's session. If you have any questions about journaling, let me know. But I will do a little recap of what we've discussed. Today, we talked about the power of journaling and how it can impact our productivity, how we keep so many thoughts in our head and we hinder our creativity by not giving ourselves the opportunity to express it. Or when we express it, we censor ourselves, we don't want to really let go. We're thinking we'll be judged. So we need a place where we can be safe and express our thoughts without fear of judgment, grammatical structure, or any form of censorship. And that is journaling. I shared my experience with prayer journals and we explained that there are creative other ways creatives are able to express themselves. One was a gratitude journal, one was a reflective journal, and there are other types of journals. But you could do it as a self-prompted journal or other prompts where there are prompts and questions that you answer. If you are the type that when you get the free pages, you freeze and you want a question to be able to answer, then prompted journals are the ones that you should go for to start with. But if you're a free writer, go for a free journal. Why are we talking about journals? Because we're talking about ways we can improve our productivity. And what we observe is many productive people, or many creative people, do not take time to reflect or to sit with themselves in order to express their creativity. So most times they're expressing the creative style of every other person but themselves. So they feel trapped, they feel locked, and they burn out. So we're trying to overcome those challenges. And I think I did quite a good summary about today's episode. But yes, that's what we did today. And tomorrow we're going to talk about night routines because sometimes it's your morning routine or whatever you do starts the night before. What do you do every evening? How do you end your day? How do you end your day in such a way that it improves your productivity? It allows you to express your creativity and you're taking care of your body because sometimes we don't take care of our body. So we may get to sleep, but we are still emotionally drained. So, how do we create a night routine that helps us to be the most creative and productive person that we can be? And that's what we're discussing tomorrow. Day 30 is the final day, so we're going to bring everything together. However, I've got a workshop coming up on the 1st of July, and I'm calling it the reset because what I want you to do is simply hit the reset button. We've come this far, January to June. Most of you started the year amazing with goals that you wanted to accomplish. But all of a sudden, you just realize that we're in June and I've done nothing about it. When did I go off track? We identified three groups of people that we call stuck. People that actually know they should set goals and be doing something about it, but they're waiting for the perfect time. Those that don't even know that they've gone off track, and until someone mentions it, then they're like, "Well, that's true. I was supposed to be working on this project." So they find themselves procrastinating. They don't know how to prioritize their work, and you sometimes struggle with different things. So I've created this workshop just for you. And on the 1st of July, we're going to create a 6 month roadmap that would help you end 2023 strong by reflecting on the past and planning for the future. So it's a 3 hour workshop and it's going to take a different format from any other productivity workshop I have hosted in the past because it's going to take like a masterclass and a very hands-on productivity session where you actually create your own roadmap based on the tools and resources that we provide. And I really am excited to get on board with this and have you join me. If you know someone that you think will benefit from this, just share the link with them. I don't know if anyone from the team is listening, but if you are, please share the link in the chat. And those that want to join the reset can join. But the link in my bio on Instagram also has it. The tickets are £10 or 10,000 naira. And we have unlimited seats left. So I want it to be interactive and us to be able to do quite a lot of things. That's why we are making it limited. But yeah, that brings me to the end of today's session. So in 2 days we have a workshop. I can't believe I have done 28 days of going live. 28 days of creating slides and going live, and I can't have done it without an audience. So I want to say thank you to everyone that has joined me the past 28 days. We have 2 more days, then next month we do just 11 sessions, including my workshop. So if you have no more questions, I'll bid you good night and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. Basically, thank you, everyone. I hope you could hear me. We didn't do a mic check today, so I hope I wasn't talking to myself. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Let's talk about our night routines and see what we can do to help each other grow. All right, then. Cheers. Take good care. Bye.